Hello, I'm Dr. Ben Raimer, Senior Vice President for Health Policy and Legislative Affairs at UTMB Health in Galveston. You are watching the Galveston Youth Leadership Award interviews. Students from Ball High School and O'Connell College Preparatory School have been chosen as finalists to compete for this coveted award. The students were selected from their respective high schools by a panel of faculty judges. Each student was chosen based on his or her academic achievement, cultural awareness, physical fitness, and service to the Galveston community. All finalists will be honored at a banquet at Galveston's Moody Gardens, where top 3 winners will be announced and awarded cash prizes. After viewing these interviews, I think you will agree with me that the judge's decision will be a difficult one. The Galveston Youth Leadership Awards is the only surviving program of its kind from among those begun nationwide in 1981 under the awards project of the Westinghouse Corporation. It is because of the generosity of our local sponsors that the Galveston Youth Leadership Awards remain strong today. These giving individuals and organizations include the UTMB Health, the Harris and Eliza Kempner Fund, the J. Vanderpool Memorial Trust Fund, the Grant Family Award, the Galveston County Daily News, and the Ben and Sharon Raimer Family Fund. UTMB is proud to help carry on this fine tradition of recognizing Galveston's outstanding youth leaders. We hope that you will enjoy this program and that you will find an opportunity to congratulate these fine young men and women and their families on their many, many accomplishments.
Maria KASTIS.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of those areas.
My activities in community service have been prompted by my love to help people. Community service, really, you help others, but not only does it, of course you're helping others, but not only does it teach you that, it teaches you a lot about yourself. And I'm involved in this program called BEST, and that is an internship in education. And what we do is we go out into elementary schools and help children in different areas such as reading and math and science. And currently I am a mentor in a pre-K 4 class, and I love it. I love helping the children, and seeing them improve is the ultimate reward, and the different skills. So I think that it has made me a much more happier person by seeing other people improve of my my impact on them. So it's really rewarding.
Other than your parents, who has been the most influential in your life? What effect has this person had on you?
I met a man named Rory Alplenalp in this last October, and I met him at a motivational seminar, and he really impacted my life. He taught me a different outlook on life. He taught me not to live on the past or dwell on the past, live each moment to the fullest, and that really stuck with me. I know a lot of people will tell you you're only young once, but he really made it stuck with me. He remembered all of our names. There's 40 students in the whole seminar, and he remembered each and every one of our names, and he took the time out to know each and every one of us, even though it was just an 8-hour seminar, and it really his message really stuck to me.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
My unique characteristics, I think one of them are that I was a natural born leader. like even in school, like group activities, I always like to like take charge, and I'm really organized and like kind of OCD about it. Like everything has to be a certain way. But also I'm very open-minded, which I think is also unique because you have to like hear other people's sides also. So I think that's...
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum that was not.
This is a tough one. I've taken a class, I think, as a freshman, I took a class called AVID, and that was a kind of a college prep class. But I think we need to have more classes like that. But like classes, like probably during my sophomore year, I would have really it would have probably helped me the best during my sophomore year, because that's when you start to realize like you only have 2 more years left of high school, and like you kind of start figuring out what you want to do yet, but not like you kind of figure out what you're interested in, but you don't know exactly what you want to do with your life. So like something like a class that would teach you about different like careers, and that would help you, like especially during junior year, because that year for me it was the most stressful year through high school, and like different study techniques, and I think time management would definitely be a very important class to have.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
Well, I'm very involved in the community, like I described before, being involved with BEST and National Honor Society. But also, I feel like I'm a leader at home, and that is the reason because I have 4 younger siblings, and no one in my family has been to college. So I'm trying to set like a good role model example for them, like getting good grades, and like just showing them like you can do whatever you like set your mind to. And I feel like that's very important, because I think my siblings like look up to me because of getting good grades, like, and I've gotten accepted into college and different things like that. So I think setting those good examples for them makes me a good leader, and I kind of am the leader because I'm the first, so I'm like leading the way of something that has never been done in my family before. So I think that's really important.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
Like sometimes it may seem like a drag, like waking up at 8 in the morning and like going to first period, going to gym or things like that. But these people, you've grown up with them, and some people may be new, but you should make the most of your time here, because sometimes like you may never see some of these people again, and you're going after high school, you're going out into like you're building your life right after high school. So I think you should make the most of your time that you have.
Social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
The positive would probably be like spreading awareness, because I know I go on Facebook a lot and I see a lot of cancer awareness, like Alzheimer's. So it like makes you want to like know more about it. Like if you come across a disease or some certain condition that you don't know, like it makes you want to go read about it. And negative would probably be like probably violence, because I feel like a lot of younger, like I have an 8-year-old brother and he has a Facebook. Like a lot of younger children are being exposed to these social medias. So, and it like violence and negative things and that sort can be exposed on social media such as Facebook and YouTube, and like exposing these children to like those different things can cause negative effects on them, because they may seem like solutions to problems when in all reality they're not. So.
What are your plans for college and career?
My plans for college, I plan to attend the University of Texas at Austin, and I got into the School of Natural Sciences to study biology. And my plans to do that, I'm going to be on a pre-med track in hopes to be able to attend medical school and ultimately become a pediatrician.
Sean Mifflin.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of these areas.
So I'm going to be talking about athletics in context to this question, but I'm not necessarily taking away from the other areas of the Galveston Youth Leadership Awards. I think they're all significant, but I think it's easiest for me to talk about athletics. So athletics in my life has played a big role because I've always been a really competitive person, and it's sort of been an outlet for that competitive spirit. I've always been able to, maybe on the playground growing up, I would always run races against all the other kids, or playing football, and I would always want to be the quarterback to throw the game-winning touchdown and things like that, I just always felt as if I have this urge to sort of not necessarily compare myself, but to compete with other people. And I feel like that really helps me to become a better person in the end, because in order to remain competitive, you're going to have to fuel that competitive drive by practicing and working hard at whatever it is that you're participating in. In my case, it's baseball, right? I've been playing baseball since I could walk, essentially. So I've always wanted to be good at baseball. I've always wanted to become better at baseball. So athletics has sort of taught me the benefits of hard work, because I spend several hours a day at a baseball field, throwing the ball around, hitting, practicing, getting ready for the game situations, so that I could display my athleticism, and hopefully my athleticism is better than those around me. So that's sort of that competitive nature fueling my athletic ability, and I can see why it is an important part of being a leader.
Other than your parents, who has been most influential in your life? What effect has this person had on you?
So naturally, the person who's influential to me is going to be a competitor. I just talked about how I love being competitive. And I think my biggest competitor is probably my big sister. Always growing up, she was always that role model that I looked up to, like if she did something, then I wanted to do not only that, but do it better. We have a pool at my house, and I remember the second I could swim, I asked my mom, how old was Allison when she learned how to swim? Oh, she was probably a little bit older than you are now. And I was like, yes, I beat her to swimming first. And my mom would actually use that to her advantage, because she used to, especially on holidays, she would see who could fall asleep the fastest. And that was brilliant on my mom's part, but I never really caught on. I was competitive, and I was competing against my role model, my sister, so I would always try to fall asleep fastest. And we'd always ask her, who won, Mom? And she would never really know. No, she would never know, But yeah, my sister, she's a role model, and she's a great role model to me, because she's strove to be the best person that she can be, which in turn makes me want to be the best person I can be in terms of academics. She graduated within the top 10 people overall in her class, and she's now attending Texas A&M University, and she plans on attending medical school. She's just this all-around great individual, and I see those qualities, and I want to embody those qualities in turn. So I tried to not only achieve what she achieved in high school, but I tried to surpass that. And I think by following her path and by trying to add on to that path, I've really developed into an all-around great individual, an all-around great learner, and overall a great leader in turn.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
See, now this is a tough question, because it's really hard to objectify yourself, If I were to describe myself to a stranger, I would probably be describing what I felt at the time. So as of right now, I'm feeling reasonably confident, I'm feeling happy, and I'm satisfied that I'm in the position I'm in right now. So if I were to describe myself to a stranger right now, I would say that my biggest strength is probably my ability to accomplish what I set my mind to. I'm able to think about something and see it as desirable, and then I follow a path and I pursue that path and I achieve whatever it is in the end. For example, I wanted to be a varsity baseball player, and sophomore year, I was a sophomore on the sophomore team, which is not necessarily the best path to be on, because most sophomores by that time are on the junior varsity team. So I was frustrated with my position, and I wanted to become a varsity pitcher. And I worked really hard the next summer, and when I came out to try out my junior year, I actually was put directly onto the varsity team. I completely skipped junior varsity, and I was a varsity pitcher. So that really shows an instance of me being able to achieve whatever I set my mind to. But weaknesses, I would probably have to say that my biggest weakness is procrastination, because procrastination is the one thing that sort of invades into every little thing you do. It's really pervasive in the sense that if you're doing homework, you don't think that you're going to be procrastinating on it, and the more you think about it, the more you're not doing it, and you end up procrastinating on it. You rush and you don't get it done. You get it done, but not necessarily in a good time frame. And procrastination, while it doesn't severely limit me, it does sort of take away from some of the things that I'm sure I could achieve, and that it sort of puts this limited time frame on something that could be unlimited. So if I see something and I have a deadline a week away, instead of doing things to the best of my ability in that week, I'll do things to the best of my ability in the day before that thing is due. So I'm sure it takes away from some of the brilliance that I could be exhibiting otherwise. And I think that my most unique characteristic, sort of rounding this up, my most unique characteristic is that I'm able to embody a lot of different things, without being overwhelmed by them. So I'm able to do debate and baseball and a National Honor Society and all these different clubs that would normally be a huge time strain, but I've been able to embody those and exceed in those individual things. So I've sort of pushed my procrastination at bay and been able to become a better person in turn.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum but wasn't.
I think, this is my opinion, I think that a course that should have been part of high school curriculum would probably be something that got me ready to live on my own, I guess. So, something that combined paying taxes, that combined managing money, that combined cooking for yourself, or maybe cooking for others, something that shows you how to break down your day into time slots for homework and time slots for, cooking for yourself and time slots for fitness and things like that. I think that would be really helpful to sort of help me manage my time looking forward for the future. But that's not to say I can't learn those things eventually. I'm sure I'll learn through experience, but I think it would have been really nice to have had a class that sort of covered everything for me, sort of put a little bow on my high school experience and got me ready for the future and whatever it may hold.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
So my example is going to come from something you wouldn't expect leadership to come from, in that I participated on the Tour Watch program at Ball High School. And if you're at all familiar with Ball High School, you'll know that Tour Watch to the community is sort of seen as a bunch of hooligans acting like animals on the sidelines at football games. And granted, that is pretty much exactly what we are, but I've seen leadership come from that. First and foremost, I was elected by my peers to become a member of Tour Watch. So it takes a certain degree of leadership to even be in that position, because you have to have the support of people, and in order to have the support of the people to get you onto the team, you have to be a leader. And additionally, it's pretty hard to go out in front of all of Galveston County and yell and act like a fool. It takes a lot of confidence, and it takes a lot of leadership to be able to look at a section of the crowd, start a chant, and get them to chant back with you. I think that displays my leadership, because if I didn't have any leadership, then I'd be yelling and they would just sort of be looking at me like, what is this guy doing? But because I was able to engage the crowd and get them to yell with me, that's sort of leadership, leading a chant. And lastly, I think that my leadership can be seen in school functions, where we would put on skits and stuff before the entire student body. And there are 12 of us on that stage and 400 people in that crowd. So I think that because we were putting ourselves in the position to be watched by the crowd and to pump the crowd up, that really shows our leadership, because we were able to get an entire student body excited and ready for an upcoming football game.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
This piece of advice, I was actually given this piece of advice as a freshman, and I never really took it seriously until now. And I was told, actually by my big sister, my role model, I was told that I should try to take things slow and live in the moment during high school. And I never really considered it. I listened, I heard it, I didn't really register it. I was like, yeah, I'll live in the moment. Yeah, I know how to do that, but I had no idea. Freshman year, I was already thinking about what college I wanted to go to. I was already thinking about the different events I wanted to participate in as a senior. I never stopped and looked around like, wow, look at all my friends. We're all growing, we're all maturing as one And it was a fantastic ride. You know, looking back in retrospect, I could see, you know, all the developments that I've gone through and all the different events that I've been able to experience. But I never really lived in the moment enough, and I guess that's my biggest regret coming out of high school, is that I didn't take time to slow things down. Now I'm slowing things down. I'm trying to take in senior year, but I wish I'd been taking in freshman, sophomore, and junior year in addition to that. So my little sister's actually a freshman, and I told her that was my piece of advice. I said, Laura, you need to be able to look around you and slow things down and live in the moment and rejoice in the fact that you're a high school freshman, because that doesn't last.
Social media, such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, has become a powerful part of our everyday life, changing the way that we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
So social media, obviously on a grandiose scale, it's this huge platform for all sorts of communication between all these different individuals. I think that's probably its biggest advantage, is that it allows for people in Argentina to tweet about a soccer game against Scotland. You know, they all know, they're all tweeting, they're all in the loop, they're all connected, and it sort of brings together all these different cultures on the interweb. And that's really neat, that's really unique, because now in a world that had previously been isolated by oceans, you know, you'd have to call somebody up and you didn't necessarily know anybody in Argentina. And now you can tweet a hashtag and somebody from Argentina can reply to that hashtag, and now you know somebody in Argentina. I think that's awesome. But that does come with its drawbacks. You know, you do have the people that will abuse the system. You have people releasing all these different cyberbullying attacks on individuals. You hear about children actually losing their lives because they've been bullied to such an extent that they feel they can no longer live. I think that's the most obvious drawback of social media, is that it allows people to be connected, but it also allows abusers to be connected as well. And it's kind of hard to escape that overwhelming realm that is social media. So I think that its biggest advantage is that it is that overwhelming realm, but its also biggest disadvantage is that that realm allows for abuse.
What are your plans for college and career?
I plan on attending University in Texas. I'm not sure which yet. I'm still deciding between Rice University and the University of Texas. So I know for sure I will be spending the next 4 years in Texas. Beyond that, I'm not sure where. But I do know that I want to become a civil engineer, so that way I can take on water resource issues within the state of Texas, because I feel like that's a huge problem that not only Texas is facing, but the entire world is facing. You know, we take advantage of our most valuable resource. We push a button, flip a lever, turn on a tub, you know, and you're supplied with this seemingly endless amount of water, but it's draining all these aquifers. In the event of drought, we could run out of aquifers in general, and that really scared me. So that made me want to become a civil engineer. So I plan on graduating from my undergraduate studies with a degree in civil engineering, and then I want to go back and get a master's degree in either business or in water resources management, because I want to be taking an active role in the water shortage problem. And I feel that the best way to do that would be to start my own business. So I think that after graduating from college, once I have my feet on the ground, once I'm relatively steady and able to, I plan on starting my own business to attack the water shortage crises that are faced by the world.
ELLIE, CHERRYHOLMES.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell about your activities in one of these areas.
I'm heavily involved in all of the areas, but the thing that specifically strikes out to me is cultural awareness because of its uniqueness. So I find that human beings as a whole are more connected from our similarities than our differences. And I was able to experience this in a few different ways. The first way that I experienced was when I went on a trip to Peru. And I was actually able to go into the highlands of Peru and work in rural villages and assist with potato farming within schools, repairing houses, and assisting with gardens just for fun for the people. And even though we both didn't speak the same language, we were able to connect just because we were humans. And we shared universal emotions and universal feelings and thoughts, which I found really interesting. It changed my life for the better. I was really able to see how people were living in developing nations compared to a developed nation, which really just opened my eyes to the need in the world to do good in places that are suffering from not having equal resources as a developed nation. The second time I was really introduced to the cultural awareness aspect was through my job, which is I'm an emergency medical responder for the Galveston Island Beach Patrol. And so at the beach, I am responsible for all the beach patrons that come, and Galveston has a diverse population of tourists and locals. So I'm actually able every day while I'm working to interact with a wide range of people that have contrasting beliefs from my own, and I still treat them with the same respect that I would with somebody who shared my beliefs, just because that they too are human. The next thing that I would like to talk about with cultural awareness, which is pretty exciting, this summer I get to go to India because I got a scholarship from National Geographic. So I will go with National Geographic for a month to backpack through India teaching English to school children, and also working on like a photography and video like expedition.
Other than your parents, who's been the most influential in your life, and what effect has this person had on you?
Besides my parents, the most influential person has to be my younger sister, Isabella. My sister and younger siblings, as well as my dad and my stepmother, live in West Africa in a country called Equatorial Guinea, which is one of the poorest countries in the world and one of the poorest regions in the world. So when she was born, I was younger. I was more naive at my perception of the world, and I didn't understand that there was inequalities in terms of education, healthcare, and justice. So when she was born, I was about 9 or 10 years old, and she introduced me to the world of medical care for a developing nation. And she didn't have the same opportunities just because of where she was born that I have had my entire life. So when she was born, she had to go to a different hospital outside of the country because the hospitals there aren't sufficient enough in case an emergency happened. There's a high infant mortality rate, and due to my dad's financial security, he was able to actually get my sister to a different hospital, but not everybody in the country have the same opportunities that we do just because of my dad's job stability. And then later, when she was entering school, because we're about 10 years apart, when she was entering school, I didn't realize that she would have to go to a private school because public education isn't funded in their country. So once I started to learn about these inequalities, I was really inspired to do something. And despite never being able to have visited the country for different reasons, I knew that I could do something in the United States to affect how my sister was living. So I ended up starting an organization called Education for Equatorial Guinea, which I created citywide fundraisers to fundraise medical and health care supplies, as well as education supplies. And I ended up fundraising about 200 backpacks full of these items, which my dad was able to take back and distribute to local schools, which felt really nice to make a difference when I wasn't actually able to physically be there. And she has basically just changed me to look at the world differently, challenge my perceptions, and she made me realize that the world is in need for someone to assist it for the better, and that even though you might not physically be able to be present, you can still do something despite a distance physical barrier.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
Okay, my name is Ellie. I'm an 18-year-old female. I live in Galveston, Texas, which is an island south of Houston. Because of the location I'm at, I'm able to participate in a lot of water sports, which is pretty unique for living in the state of Texas. So I compete in stand-up paddleboard racing and have been able to actually race professionally in my years of racing. And I'm a beach lifeguard, and I play water polo. I also compete in competitive surfing, and I'm ranked number 2 in the state currently, which is pretty fun. In school, I'm the president of our National Honor Society and vice president of the National Technical Honor Society. And I've also had a 2-year internship at the University of Texas Medical Branch, where I'm able to research viruses, which is really interesting. I would say one of my strengths would be that I'm very curious and I love learning. So my curiosity is a key to opening many doors of unpredictable paths for the better. If I get interested in something, I really like to research it and find out more about it. I don't just dive shallowly into a pool. I go very deep when I want to learn. I would also say that I'm really compassionate. I have interned, I've volunteered every summer at a nursing home called Libby's Place, which is like an adult daycare facility for people with disabilities, Alzheimer's, dementia, and just basically if they're living alone and lonely and need someone to interact with. I've done that every summer since I was in 8th grade. One of my weaknesses, I would say, is that because of my care, I can get frustrated because I feel like there's so much need in the world to help others, but I can't adequately devote my resources to it just because I'm one person and I'm not able to stretch every single way. So when I see that I can't help in a certain thing, it can be frustrating.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of high school curriculum but was not.
Okay, I think there are 2 courses that need to be a part of high school curriculum. So the first one would be something that really lets kids interact with their community, and it would develop like their respect for our town, because Galveston is a wonderful place. We have the beach, we have marshes, we have an insane amount of history, and kids don't understand that. They don't appreciate Galveston and its whole beauty. It's, you know, once was the second port to Ellis Island. So, you know, we had tons of immigrants, tons of diversity, tons of cultures, tons of different backgrounds coming in, and so it would be kind of like a grassroots type of class where we could send kids out and get them to interact with the population across Galveston and actually develop like big respect for it, and which would strengthen like our community, in my opinion. And then also, while doing that, it would focus on the environmental aspect of Galveston and try to increase our environmental awareness, because we are living on the coast, and living on the coast, you know that the level of the sea is very important in terms of how long our island will last. So we have to be aware that how we live affects global warming and other environmental things. So I think developing like a recycling program, just like a school within the classes where kids start to think about how they live and start to live authentically and realize how everything they do affects the earth in any way possible. So, for example, the class could focus on the effect of how not recycling within our school damages the earth, and then we could implement a recycling program through the classroom and then see how we're actually positively benefiting the earth afterwards. You know, we have 2,000 kids here that throw away trash every day when the trash could be recycled. You could really change our school. The second class that I would start would just be something that teaches basic principles of economics in terms of money management. So it would teach you how to pay your taxes, what interest rates are, what loans are, how much debt you would come out of college with, and other basic things that surprisingly some kids don't know how to do, like how to write a professional letter and sending off a letter, including where to place a stamp, where to put an address, where to put a return address, because many kids now are used to just texting or using the interwebs, but you can't do that in the professional world as much, especially if you need to send mail. Also, other basic skills such as learning different things about like fixing up houses or basic repairs on cars and homes, and it would just all be collectively into like a life skills version of a class.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
A good example of my leadership would be when it was actually before I was in a leadership position, which was like termed a leadership position, even though like everybody has the ability to be a leader. So last year when I was in the National Honor Society, I was our historian. So instead of leading, I basically documented everything our club did, which was really fun. But prior to that, I had been involved with the MSSA, Multiple Sclerosis Society of America. And every summer I had done projects where I would fundraise money to fund research for the Multiple Sclerosis Society of America in order to try to find a cure for MS. And previously I had no connection to MS whatsoever. I just read about it and was heartbroken that something like that could really prohibit you from living a normal life. So I thought that I would need to do something to help. So in the summers, I was doing a pledge fundraiser. So I would swim laps, and then people would pledge a certain amount of money for the amount of laps I swam. And when I started NHS, I found out that our sponsor's daughter actually had MS. And so it became more personal. And I said, okay, well, we have a club really large. We need to increase the impact to MS. So I was able to get our whole club to actually do a fundraiser for MS. And it was during the March Awareness Month for MS, so it kind of timed out nicely. And we were able to raise about $1,000 to donate back for research. And I actually wrote it out in her name, which surprised our sponsor, which was kind of cool. And we're actually going to get to do that again, which is really awesome.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
So when you're a freshman, you're pretty much caught up in the stream of new ideas, new ways. Everything's changing around you. The earth, like your whole life, you're just like, oh my gosh, what is happening? So I would say it's okay to be different. You don't have to go and follow the stream. A lot of high schoolers expect, or a lot of people expect high schoolers to be like in this certain box. And the box isn't necessarily good because it doesn't push you to try new things. It doesn't push you to explore your strengths or to develop your weaknesses into something better. So as a freshman, don't feel needed to be pushed into what all of your friends are doing, because that's not necessarily for the betterment of yourself. Like, don't be afraid to walk off from the group, realizing that what they're doing might not be that well, and actually just continue in following your heart for whatever you would like to do. And by doing so, you'd be able to actually find out more about yourself and more about the people around you than just letting people tell you what to do, being pushed around, you know, not really developing your own voice. It's a really critical time for you to develop who you are, because the next 4 years should be really fun. High school should be a really fun time in your life, but if you're just going with the flow and not really figuring out who you are, it's going to be difficult.
Social media, such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
Well, one of the major positive things about social media is the fact that globalization is way easier, so we're actually able to find out more about the world around us just by opening up our phone and typing in a few things and saying, for example, I want to see what Cuba looks like. You could go on Google Maps and zoom in and find out right away. A negative thing is that it makes people not appreciate the moment. So, like, that being said, a lot of kids I'll see in restaurants, and instead of talking to each other face-on-face contact, they're on their phones. And I've even had friends like text each other from across the table and not actually verbally like talk to each other. So they don't look up from their phones because they're so interested in seeing things on social media, and they miss what's actually going on in the world around them, which is really dangerous, because you're not going to remember as much from a little piece of technology than actually experiencing the moment itself.
What are your plans for college and career?
For college, I plan to study biology, and I want to work in research. So while I'm in college, I hope to be able to do undergraduate research, and I want to work on vaccine development. So the vaccines will be able to exponentially affect like the population that I might not personally be able to actually go and help. So it's kind of like an endless opportunity of helping people when you work in science. Also, I would like to work in epidemiology, which is the study of diseases and how they affect population. So by doing so, you're able to travel a lot and actually live in local communities and figure out what is their downfall in medical care. It's a public health position. So I would actually be able to work on correcting that by tracking the data that I'd be receiving and creating programs that would fix it. Eventually, after epidemiology would allow me to go into international organizations, and that I would be able to travel and still pursue my passion of like medicine and health. But I would also like to be able to work with human rights and other things such as like education and develop those in developing nations.
Dominic ELZNER.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of those areas.
I feel like academics has been a big part of my life, because since like a young age I've known that I wanted to like go out and explore like outside of Galveston and outside of Texas. And currently I'm going to go to Duke next semester, and I couldn't do that without academics. I focus from probably about 5th grade when I realized that I wanted to expand past Texas, you know? And without academics, I couldn't have done that. I would probably be going to like A&M or UT. Not that those are bad schools by any means, but just they're in Texas, and I wanted to expand.
Other than your parents, who has been the most influential in your life? What effect has this person had on you?
My grandma has honestly been the most influential person, even more so than my parents. Anytime I like think about a decision, I always have to think like, would grandma approve of this? Would grandma be okay with this? And I know that's kind of cliche, but it's the truth. Like, ever since my grandfather passed away, I've been trying to do everything I can to like help my grandma stay happy, and like me getting in trouble won't make her happy, or me doing anything dumb. So without my grandma, I wouldn't be where I was today.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
Okay, well, I guess I'll start with characteristics. I think I'm super fun, and I'm always happy, and that means a lot. Like, if you're not fun or happy with what you do, then like, what's the point of doing it? And you're just gonna have a tough time. Because I learned that last year. I wasn't really happy much, and just my parents got divorced, and it wasn't a fun time for me, and I was just mad the whole time. And now, like, I've accepted it, like the divorce, and now I'm getting along better with everyone, and I'm just happy all the time, and it's really nice. One of my strengths is that I think I'm really like fast on my feet, and I'm really smart, and those really help just everyday life. Like, if a problem arises, like the other day I was in a wreck, and it was my fault, but I knew what to do, and like I wasn't stressed out, and I don't get stressed out very easily. I'm really quick. So, and one weakness that I have is that I get super upset and super flustered really easily, and I've been working on it. But yeah, if something doesn't go my way, I get so mad. I used to punch the wall. Stop punching the wall. That's a good thing. But yeah, it's been like, if something gets on my nerves, sometimes I just start yelling and get really rude, and there's no room for that just anywhere. So I'm glad I've been working on that, and I've been a lot better since a few years ago.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been a part of the high school curriculum but was not.
That's a tough one. That should have been a part of the high school curriculum? I think that athletics, like a team sport, should be part of the high school curriculum, because learning teamwork and having a captain and that leadership that you learn and the integrity you get from being a part of a team, like, that's so important. At least in my case it was, because like I play tennis, and even though it seems like an individual sport, there's a lot of coaching, and you really bond a lot with your team. And not only does it, like, you learn the lessons such as teamwork and, you know, all the cliches, you also get lifelong friends, and like that's a lot. That means a lot.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
I remember one time, I remember this like it was yesterday. Our old tennis coach wasn't really the best coach in the world, and we had a lot of days off. And I remember I was just tired of having days off, so I was like, hey, y'all, we're going to go to Lasker Park, which is right across the way, the public tennis courts. And I ran my own tennis practice because we had a tournament that Friday, and it was Wednesday. And why we weren't having practice, I still don't know the answer to. But I went and I ran a practice. We were out there for like 2.5 hours. I just ran a few drills, and I think it helped. We didn't really do well on Friday, but the leadership was there, I believe.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
School is super important. Like, I know that can't be stated enough, but like without your academics, like you won't be able to get to wherever you want, even at a young age, or not a young age, but like as a freshman. Because one of my friends, I'm not going to say his name, he really wanted to go to UT, but at the beginning of his high school career, he slacked off so much, and it really just ruined his GPA. And so from the beginning, you have to realize that every like grade and every decision you make matters, and you can't slack. You have to just keep pushing for it.
Social media, such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
Well, the positives are that like you can easily communicate with anyone, and you can like interact with people who you probably like a few years back wouldn't have been able to. Like I know my dad was a huge basketball fan, and he couldn't really get in, like be a part of the life of like say a Michael Jordan or a Magic Johnson. But with me, I can just follow like LeBron James on Twitter or follow Kobe Bryant on Instagram, and I can like see what they're doing whenever they decide to post. But there are negatives to go along with it. There's a bunch of like cyberbullying that goes on, and because people think that since they can't be identified that they can say whatever they want. And I've seen it on like public Instagram feeds. People just say rude things, and I've gone and I've stepped in to try to stop it, you know, like just say that's rude, like there's no point in that. But there's just too much of it, and that's a major flaw that somehow we need to find a way to address.
What are your plans for college and career?
I'm going to go to Duke University, and there I'm going to study economics, which in turn, what I want to do when I grow up is I want to be the general manager of a professional basketball team. And I know that's such a long shot, but at Duke, they give me the opportunity to intern with the Charlotte Hornets, which is the professional basketball team in the area. And hopefully while I'm there, I'll make connections and have a championship ring on my finger.
Gracie, Bassett.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of these areas.
The physical fitness category, I've been really involved in cross country and soccer over the past 4 years at Ball High. I believe that in physical fitness you have to have academic integrity as well, because it takes dedication and time, so you have to manage your school work as well in order to participate in those activities.
Other than your parents, who has been the most influential in your life? What effect has this person had on you?
My grandfather, Roland Bassett, he's pretty influential in my life. He was #1 in his law school class at Tulane, and I've always found that really interesting. He's really involved in the community, and he just, I feel like he does a lot, but in each thing he does, he is like fully committed, I would say. He's really big into Rotary, the Port, Rosenberg Library, Chamber of Commerce. So.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
My strengths would probably be I'm dedicated to the things I do. I like to have fun. I'm hardworking. I'm open-minded to a lot of things. My weaknesses probably would be maybe wanting to do too many things, and I have to decide like which one's most important. And my unique characteristics are I like to like meet new people and share new experiences.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum but was not.
My favorite course probably has been the Research and Design program at UTMB. I feel that it's the most like applicable to like real life, just because you're outside of the school, but it's also connected through Ball High. It helps that it's like an interest of mine. I don't know if every student would be interested in like sciences like that, but I think that working with a graduate student in a lab has really like opened doors for me and connections.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
I'm the president of FCA at Ball High. That's taken a lot of time, but it's been really fun as well. Next week, Heather Kirby and I are hosting the NHS induction ceremony, so that will be fun, but it did take a lot of time. And then cross country, we helped set the school records for running, so that was really a lot of hard work, but it was worth it.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
Take dual credit courses. that will get you ahead in college. I took mostly AP, but I wish I would have taken dual credit classes. And be open-minded to new classes such as research and design, because it gives you an insight into things you might not see in a regular classroom.
Social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
I think the positives of social media is that you can connect with people, like advertisements. I know my parents use Facebook for their stores, and I think that's been beneficial. Negatives, probably like saying too much on social media can be a bad thing, and just like knowing your limits.
What are your plans for college and career?
I plan on attending Macomb School of Business at UT and hopefully opening my own like dental clinic or oral surgery clinic.
KERRY calendar.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell about your activities in one of these areas.
In athletics, I was involved in 3 different sports. I played golf sophomore year. I was on the freshman team and slowly got moved up to varsity. I was tennis team junior year, the whole year. I was on JV and varsity towards the end. And basketball, I played all throughout my 4 years of high school on all different levels of the game.
Other than your parents, who has been the most influential in your life, and what effect has this person had on you?
The most influential person in my life has been a basketball player for the San Antonio Spurs named Tim Duncan. He influences me also because I'm a basketball player, but the way he handles himself and carries himself in the game and outside is really important to me because it shows character and how you can be respectful at all levels and respect everyone. So when he's in the game mode, he respects his players and his coach by playing as a team and sharing the ball well. And when he's off the court, he doesn't speak badly of anyone, and everyone gets mad in a game, and that's fair. But he's able to make his feelings positive on the outside so it doesn't look as if he's a negative person.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
I am a male, really short, about 5'7". I think I'm funny and outgoing. I could lead by example very well. One of my weaknesses is probably, if you ask me to answer a science question or a history question, I'm not very good at those, but I'm very energetic and I like to be outgoing and play all kinds of different sports and meet new kinds of people.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum that was not.
I believe it was my freshman year, but they took it out towards the end, and it was AVID, which taught you, it's not really the course, but a time management course, whatever you want to name it, it's fine. But it teaches you to plan out your schoolwork and your social life, whatever you have going on the weekend, and your athletics or UIL, whatever you're involved in, because there's some nights when you come home from a sport and it's 10:30 and you have so much homework built up. And as you progress throughout the years of school, going from your sophomore to your junior year, the athletic events or debate tournaments or whatever you're involved in outside of school become more advanced and you have to be there more, and your schoolwork also intensifies with lots more loads of work. So if you could plan out your schedule accordingly to where you have enough time to get your studies done and you have enough time to go to practice or go to a tournament, then that would be the best possible way.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
One leadership experience that I've had would be throughout my 4 years of high school basketball, I was only on the varsity team once, and I was elected captain. I'd never played at that intense level before. It had only been a few days of practice, and I felt like I was in a leadership role from day one because some guys don't know how to manage their attitudes or handle themselves on the court, and I was always there even just for attitude-wise and positivity or to know the plays. I was there every practice. I knew all the plays so I could help out anyone, and I was able to understand the coach too, because being a leader, you have to know how to get through to all kinds of different kinds of people, And so what a coach tells one kid, he may see as criticism and he may try to blow him off. But like as a leader, how I felt I was, you'd have to go to that kid and explain this is what he's saying. He's just trying to critique you and make you a better player and a better person. He's not trying to just yell at you, he's trying to help you.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
I would say that you need to learn or ask other high school students how they study. For me, when I got here, it was harder because I wasn't very good at making note cards or knowing how to study and read and outline chapters. And so I would tell them to, when a history or math or even a science teacher tells you to read a chapter and learn it for a test, you need to make note cards, you need to outline it and read the whole thing. Even if you can make a study group, sometimes that's really positive and helps enhance your score and other kids' scores, because all kids take different kinds of notes or however they learn best. And so if you correspond with one another, it helps to make everyone understand it more. And one kid who struggles with multiplication, for example, another kid just struggles with division, but this kid who struggles with multiplication knows division, you can swap and you can learn it better.
Social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way that we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
One positive form that I use, for example, is I've lived in 3 different cities, in Houston, Los Angeles, and Galveston, and so I'm able to keep up with my old friends and see what they're doing, and that's really nice because I haven't talked to some of them in 2 years, but still I can just send them a message on Facebook or see them on Instagram and even get their number and say, how's it going, check in with them. But a negative, also getting their number on there, it leaks to other people. Some Facebook or social media sites have private settings, and that's sometimes helps, but still there are hackers all over that can get in, to example, to Universal Studios when they leaked one movie, and so that just wasn't beneficial for anyone, and that made people on other parts of the world unhappy. And so you can leak their privacy settings. And also lots of bullying, especially in schools, it happens where kids are really mean. And here, at least at Ball High, they make you take a bullying course, but not a lot of kids follow that, and so kids can really be hurt, and it often leads to the kids themselves hurting themselves who are being bullied or even taking their own lives.
What are your plans for college and career?
College, I'm right now stuck in between Texas, the University of Texas at Austin, and Texas Christian University. I have the same experience at both, being an athletic trainer. I got offered to be on the staff at TCU, and at UT you wouldn't start till the end of your freshman year, but I haven't decided which way because there are just so many pros and cons to each of like living in Austin, having the distractions, and you get one-on-one tutoring at TCU, but TCU is also more expensive, and so I don't know how much of it I could afford for throughout the 4 years. And for a job, for my future career path, I hope to be an athletic trainer. So in the next few years, I would study there and be on the staff with all kinds of different sports, whether it be football, basketball, baseball, even rowing crew or tennis, even small sports. And then at UT especially, they have so many connections to where they give you summer internships with pro teams or other colleges that need more help. And then from the internships, they can offer you positions in the future for your whole career path the rest of your life.
Heather Kirby.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of those areas.
I would have to say that physical fitness defines me the most because I seem to be very active in my school and regarding sports. I am in a lot of sports like soccer and basketball and cross country and water polo, and although they keep me really busy, it's actually been a blessing to be able to have so much physical fitness in my life. It seems to keep me sane, and it provides activity for me, and I just really love every second of it. It's great.
Other than your parents, who has been most influential in your life? What effect did this person have on you?
There's a young woman named Erin Frenchak. She was actually, I met her at church. She was a leader for my Bible study group, and we've actually become really close throughout the years, and
she's taught me a lot of great life skills, and I think the most important life skill that I've learned from her is patience in my life, just general patience. And it's been really great to use that and learn about it because our generation is so fast-paced, and a lot of people my age are just so used to like going, and it's hard to slow down sometimes and recognize what's going on and how to resolve a situation that you're in. And it's been really great to be able to recognize when I'm in those situations and I need to use patience, and how it definitely affects the outcome of the situation when I use it.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
My strengths, I think, would be just sociability. I really like people, and I love communicating with people, and it's just a nice skill to kind of just grow up with. And I seem to be extroverted, so it's kind of nice to not have to have that boundary between me and someone else when I'm having a conversation or when I'm meeting somebody. A weakness would probably be, unfortunately, that I don't really seem to spend as much time as I would like with my family because I'm so involved like with my school and with sports all the time, and it really takes up a lot of time. And these activities that I do are really great, and they've helped mature me so much, but sometimes I just really wish that I could spend more time with my family. But on the bright side, it does make it more significant when I do get to spend that time with them. So,
over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum but was not.
I think that a good course would have probably been a leadership course because actually, that is a coincidence, but I've participated in many leadership activities such as the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards and like the National Young Leader State Conference, and a lot of the skills I've learned from there are just priceless. And I think that if every kid my age had the opportunity to understand those skills and learn about being a leader in your community, it really would pay off because I'm so thankful to have had those opportunities.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
I think an example of my leadership would be so I'm a membership chair in the NHS, the National Honor Society here at Ball High. And one thing that I do as a leader is I plan the induction ceremony for new members to be in the National Honor Society. My duty for this chair is to plan the event, provide a keynote speaker, make sure that the reception goes well, make sure everything runs smoothly, make sure that everyone who is participating in the event has their task and knows what they're supposed to be doing. And it's a big responsibility, and it's definitely a leadership role that I've been playing for the past 2 years, and I am able to speak on stage and lead the ceremony, and I think that's a really great skill to have acquired, be able to speak in public and be able to communicate.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
I think the biggest piece of advice I would give to them is probably to take advantage of the education that we're given. A lot of people take for granted our opportunities, and when I say opportunity, I mean education in general, and just being provided, people in our school, for instance, have free education, and a lot of people don't understand that that's not like the rest of the world. We're actually very fortunate to have that, and I want to make sure that if I were to be able to give advice, I would definitely recommend for people to try and recognize that they have something that a lot of people don't have, and that they need to take advantage of their education because it really can change the world, and people need to understand that.
Social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter has become an important and powerful part of everyday life, changing the way that we communicate with each other. What are the positives and negatives of this form of communication?
I think there actually are a lot of positives to this because I can think of many ways where I've used social network to become involved in activities and church groups and learn about current events, and especially Twitter, for example. They have pages and pages of things that kids are able to follow per se and become involved with, just information, just endless information that they can learn every day. And I think that that's like a huge plus to the social media, as well as Facebook, for instance. Everyone's pretty familiar with Facebook. I think that can provide a lot of positive information because you're able to talk to your friends and you're able to like see how great everything's going. And mostly people try to like keep their Facebook pages positive. And I think that's a really good thing because it keeps people in touch with each other, and it provides motivation for everyone else. As far as negatives go, I'm sure everyone can agree that it kind of consumes a lot of time for kids my age especially. Adults as well. I'm sure that adults these days are a lot more involved on their phones or on their computers, on social media as it becomes more prevalent.
What are your plans for college and career?
My plans for college are not exactly set in stone yet. And that's okay because I'm a pretty adventurous person, so whatever happens, I'll just let it happen. I've been accepted to, I think, 5 schools, but my heart is set on the University of Texas at Austin, and I haven't heard my final letter. I haven't gotten my final letter from them yet. So that's pending. For my career, I really want to be an interior designer, and I hope to have my own business someday. And although that's what I want right now, I'm very set on it right now because I'm creative and I'm artsy, and but I'm very open to change, and I think that it's okay for people to change their career goals, and whatever happens, I'm ready for it, and I think it'll be a great experience no matter what happens.
Olivia Sostrom.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of these areas.
The area I would like to discuss is athletics. Throughout my 4 years at Ball High, I've been a part of cross country, basketball, and soccer. The reason I've been so involved in those activities is because I really enjoy the team aspect and working towards a common goal and just building those relationships. It's the most incredible experience.
Other than your parents, who has been most influential in your life? What effect has this person had on you?
Besides my parents, one of the most influential people has to be, some people call her Coach King, some people call her Miss King, but because of our cross-country team, we started calling her Miss Coach King. She's been really influential because, like I said, she has coached basketball and cross-country for me. She's a very motivated person, and she's dedicated. She has the most insane work ethic ever. She's so committed to so many different aspects of Ball High. Specifically, one time we had a basketball practice, and we wanted to play a full court game, which takes 10 people, but we only had 9 girls show up. So Coach King went and she put on one of our uniforms and she played with us. She ran the sprints and went through all the drills, and that just influenced me to see all of her dedication to us.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
I think one of my strengths is the positivity that I embrace. I like to look for solutions to problems, and I really like setting goals and accomplishing them and seeing how they can play out in the best way possible. However, sometimes that can lead to one of my weaknesses, which I think is my indecisiveness. If I see the good outcomes that can come from so many different things, then sometimes it's hard for me to choose just one option. However, I've been working on that, and usually I'll just make the decision, and once I have the plan set, it's easier to alter my plan than to try to start one from the beginning.
Past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum but was not.
One course that I think should have been part of our curriculum is a combination of business and the health classes, maybe a combination of them both. So you can see how to balance your budget and pay taxes in the real world while also maintaining a good level of entertainment and balancing your home life with your family as well. I think that'd be very beneficial because I think it's going to be hard when we get out into the real world and we don't have our parents supporting us necessarily. I think it's going to be very important to keep a very balanced lifestyle.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
One example of my leadership is by going into elementary schools in Galveston. I'm part of the BEST program at Ball High, and it's all about learning about the teaching profession and going into classrooms and seeing that firsthand. So when I go into the classrooms, I see how the teachers lead the students every single day in their education, which is one of the most important things you can do. So when I'm in there, I try to lead the kids in not only understanding material, but I also try to get them to be enthusiastic about their education and be excited about coming to school. And I think if I can lead them in that way, then that's the most important thing I can do.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
I would tell incoming high school freshmen that they should get involved in as many things as they can, whether it's clubs or sports or anything of that nature. I think sometimes you might have to give up a little bit of extra sleep in order to maintain schoolwork and your extracurricular activities, but it's totally worth it to build the relationships and create memories with all the different people that you'll meet through those extracurricular activities.
Social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
I think the positives are that, like you said, we can communicate so much faster. We're able to, for instance, keep up with our family. My family lives spread out all over the U.S. in Ohio and California and Florida. And I'm able to see if they go on trips or when they have babies, I can see their baby pictures just like that, or I'm able to view their life, basically, even though we're thousands of miles apart, which that's a great thing for me because I like my family a lot. However, the negatives are, I think we spend too much time connected to them. Now when you go out into restaurants, sometimes there will be little kids on their iPads instead of having conversation with their families or participating in the social media instead of having like real life experiences. And I think that's definitely a disadvantage.
What are your plans for college and career?
For college, I'm going to the University of Texas, and I'll major in business. And then after that, I plan to go to medical school. So for my career, I'll combine the two, and I plan to open a private practice, combining my business knowledge and like interest in medicine. And I'll be able to travel around, and hopefully my goal is to go to places that have been affected by natural disasters. Being from Galveston, we know how harmful natural disasters can be. So I'd like to take my family and travel with that, and then I'd have the freedom to if I had my own private practice. And then we can always come back to our hometown, wherever it may be, and have giant family reunions and enjoy life that way.
Stephanie Gomez.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of these areas.
I feel like if you live a fit life, you can actually live your life to like a full extent. I, for one, have been a part of the athletics extracurriculars here in Ball High. I have been a part of soccer for 4 years and have progressively bettered the name of Ball High and its reputation. Also, I have joined cross country and ran for 3 years and I'm really honored to say that I was part of the first female group to actually make it to regionals for the first time ever in ball high history. I feel like physical fitness and athleticness not only betters your own visual image and self-confidence, but it's also been proven many times that it can also help with your medical, to reduce the risk of medical conditions. By working out and doing all this stuff, it's actually been proven by the APJM that by living a physically inclined life, you can actually add 5 years to your life, which is a good thing. I feel like as a young adult, and I'm already like really prompt to work out and do things that contain with physical activity, I'm going to live like a happy, healthy life. Sometimes I do stuff like this in hopes to like motivate others. I know that I can challenge myself mentally and physically to do these things, but I know that others don't have the ability to do so. So by doing these things, I hope to like accomplish like their wishes and dreams through my hard work and dedication. Because if you never reach out and challenge yourself, you never know how far you can reach out.
Other than your parents, who has been most influential in your life? What effect has this person had on you?
Through the BEST program, which is like a student teacher initiative program, I had the honors to meet a man named Rory. He's a speaker, and he was supposed to teach us how to plan out daily activities and how to be more organized. This seminar was specifically for that, but I got so much more out of it. He opened my eyes and taught me that life can't really be planned out. So many things happen that are out of your control. For example, like weather or like traffic and whatnot. You're in control of your own body, and that's the only thing that you're in control of. So you have to be able to adapt to different things that are thrown at you. And also having a positive attitude and mentality can help with the adaptation of your different plans, because if you go at things in a negative way, the only thing that it leads to is stress, and stress doesn't really cure anything. So if you live with a positive mentality like he taught us to do, it really influences you. And I have actually done this myself. Instead of approaching things at a negative perspective, I try to look at the good in things, and it has made me happy, and it has helped me to accomplish many things. It's definitely the key to success.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
My strengths are definitely perseverance. I feel like if you have the opportunity to do things, why not get them done? Many people aren't as privileged as I am. Even though I'm not higher up there in the social class, I still have enough things that can help me perceive in what I want to do. My weaknesses it has to be procrastination. Since I tried to get so many things done and I have perseverance to do these things, I tend to fill up my plate a lot. The time management that I have isn't the best out there, but I feel like many can relate to me. I usually try to get stuff done in time, but most of the time I keep putting things off in order to finish up like other things. So then that's when the whole time stuff management starts to get inclined. And definitely one of the things I need to work on. My uniqueness, I'm very open-minded. I enjoy people giving me constructive criticism, and I enjoy hearing what other people have to say, because I'm not one to say that there's one answer for a question. There's always different answers, and it's fun to look at things in different perspectives. Also, I love to try new things. I'm all for trying new things.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum but was not.
I have to say that something that I really wish that they would have had is a class that would help out with how to buy houses or tax revenues and all these different things that we weren't aware of. I'm just now starting to realize what a loan is and how a credit card works. And these things aren't taught. I know for one, like my parents, they try to teach me these things, but they're not really taught most of the time. And I feel like school, if it's supposed to help you to live later on in life and educate you, then this is what realistically what life is. Like, you're gonna have to pay all these different things, but you don't even know how to get started. So I would definitely say if they can do like a life readiness class that has all these different things and that teach you how to do loans, how credit cards work and stuff. And this is probably one of the reasons why people get in debt nowadays, like a lot of reasons, because they're not really sure how the system works. And it would be really great if they teach us at a younger age like this, especially now that we're going into college and setting up for like the real world.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
I have an aunt that comes to visit from Guatemala. Last year she came to visit around November, December-ish. Anyways, she owns a bakery in Guatemala, and she told me that she would see these 3 little kids running back and forth on the street, and she asked them if they were hungry because she had like leftover bread from that day. And these kids actually confessed to her that that was their first meal in 2 days. And from there on, my aunt has started feeding them the leftover bread that she had for herself. And she told me about these kids, and I guess it was through December. It was Christmas time around there when she left, and I decided just to add a little speck of sand and joy to their Christmas, to send with her $100. And I told her to buy these kids little gifts and little things that can make them happy. Especially, I told her to please buy them like clothing and shoes, because that was one of the things they would walk around barefooted. And to me, little things like that really help out in the world, because it's crazy how like underprivileged these innocent children are. Like they're born into such poverty sometimes, and it's nice to know that I helped out. I shared the story with many of my friends, and I told them what I had done, and I feel like it's given them an insight to how distraught these different developing countries are. And I feel like now they have a deeper understanding of what it is to live in poverty, because here in America, we're all really blessed to have such amazing privileges.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
I would definitely say do not take education for granted. Like I said before, there's so many people that would beg, love, and would kill to have an education like we do. We don't necessarily have to pay for education throughout from pre-K to our high school years, and this just makes it even better. Like, people don't even have, they're born into such poverty. They're born into a lack of parent support, economic sustainability, and no medical or hygienic benefits or anything. And so education isn't even anything to think of for them. Their thought is, how will I survive for today? So just knowing that we have a chance for education, I would tell them not to take it for granted, to definitely push and try to succeed and try to score the best grades you can possibly get, because it's not hard if you put your heart into it. Also, do not procrastinate, because I feel like that's one of the big things that you start doing once you get closer to graduating, but definitely to persevere and take it as serious as possible.
Social media, such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way that we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
One of the negatives of this form of communication is that now we see a lack of actual social interaction between our friends or our parents, and it's kind of bad, because I feel like part of being a human being, you need that social interaction, which is being lost every day by this technology. But a good thing that comes from this is that now it's so much easier to aware people of things, and especially now that all the problems that we're facing, is good that we have this sort of technology to allow people to know what's going on in the world, and it can give people different perspectives of what is going on and how they can help and how they can try to help these people with the different problems that they have. So I think it has both positive and negative effects.
What are your plans for college and career?
In the future, I plan to go to UT into the Natural Sciences School. From there, I will major in biology. I plan to go into the medical field in the cardiology sector of it, and will someday hope to be a cardiologist. I'm going to try my hardest to achieve this really, really complicated goal. But once I do achieve, I plan to join this organization called Doctors Without Borders. These doctors actually volunteer to go to third world countries and developing countries and volunteer to offer free medical supplies and give them the option to have a chance for actual medical sustainability. Like, these people don't have any sort of hospitals, they don't have sorts of medicine. So it's sad to know that many people die every day from not having the proper medications or having the proper medical help. So it's nice to know that there's people out there that can help, and I think it's nice to take that initiative, and I'm more than willing to take this initiative and help others. I know that just myself, I can't change the whole entire world, but adding my little speck of dust can definitely help out.
Mateo Garofalo.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell about your activities in one of these areas.
Then I would go with community service. I have been involved with NHS, which is National Honor Society, Spanish National Honor Society, Mu Alpha Theta, and several other organizations that have been involved in giving back to the community through a lot of community service. For example, Mu Alpha Theta, we tutor kids that are struggling in math. For NHS, we go to the Ronald McDonald House and we serve meals, or we do events that inspire people to give back to your community, because that's the most important part, is what you leave, the legacy you kind of leave in your community. That's the important thing.
Other than your parents, who has been most influential in your life, and what effect has this person had on you?
I would have to say it would be my coach, my JV basketball coach, since he's known me since freshman year. He's always driven me to do my best. He's always told me that I can do whatever I put my mind to, and that's been a huge impact on my life, because getting that constant reassurance not only from your parents but from an outside person that's been such an important part of my life is a great feeling, and it's really built up my confidence and my motivation to do great things.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
I think some of my strengths are that I'm highly dedicated to what I do. I've stuck through with sports from my freshman through senior year while not compromising my studies. I've studied to the best of my ability, and which has actually gotten me to be the valedictorian right now of my senior class, while also playing 2 varsity sports in varsity soccer and varsity tennis. I think I'm very intelligent, but intelligent not only book smart, but also culturally aware intelligent. So I'm aware of the surroundings that I'm in. And maybe a weakness might be that I can be seen as reserved, but not because I am like a timid person, but because I'd rather address a situation after I've stepped back, looked at it, analyzed it, and then step into it, rather than just taking it head on blindly. And I think a unique thing about me is that both my parents are Italian, so I'm now technically a citizen of Italy, but I think that's made me very culturally aware, because I've seen so many different cultures that it's allowed my awareness to be high.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum but was not.
I think an important course that somebody should take that isn't technically part of it is probably psychology. Psychology is important because you get to learn the study of the human body, but through more, not through biology where you learn body systems, more in-depth analysis, for example, of the brain and how people think and how their interactions are fueled by their environment. So I think it's a class that people should really take.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records. Give an example of your leadership.
I would have to say it was this year. This year, our varsity soccer team from last year, we lost a lot of seniors last year, and it was supposed to take a tragic hit on our team. We weren't supposed to go into playoffs. We were supposed to be like 6th in district out of 7 teams. But instead, me and several other seniors of this year banded together, and we decided that we weren't going to let that fate happen. So we worked hard, we pushed everybody, and we were able to place 3rd place in district, 1 point behind the 2nd place team, and make it to playoffs. And even though we lost in our playoff game, we battled, and through our leadership, all of this was possible.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
It's okay. Stuff's going to be hard, and you're going to struggle at times, but life goes on. Keep trudging forward. It's going to, at times you're going to just want to give up. Don't. Just fight through it. Be as diligent as you can. Dedicate yourself and have fun. Have fun is important. High school is fun. You get to join a whole bunch of clubs. You get to make more friends than you had. You get to play on a sports if you're into sports, or do stuff like make the tour report, something that's fun. So I encourage everybody to be involved in high school and have fun.
Social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way that we communicate with each other. What are the positives and the negatives of this form of communication?
I think social media is positive because it allows information to be relayed really fast, because your friends say something, it might be an important news, like one of them got accepted into college, for example, and you can share that news. You can be like, congratulations. You can show them joy and happiness for their achievements through social media. I feel like a negative, though, is that it can be taken as bullying, that you can use that as a means of bullying, which is a terrible thing. That in no way should social media be used as a means of bullying, and bullying in general is mean and is highly frowned upon. So using social media as a bullying thing is a negative of social media.
What are your plans for college and career?
Actually, I recently got accepted into the FAME program at UTSA, which is a 7-year program combined with college and medical school. And right after you do 3 years of college, you go straight into medical school at San Antonio, and that's my plan for the future. I'm going to be going there, and then afterwards, after medical school, I hope to do my residency in California, actually, at Stanford, and become an oncologist.
Smith Mulliken.
Consider the 4 areas of Galveston youth leadership: academics, athletics, cultural awareness, and community service. Tell us about your activities in one of these areas.
Okay. The first one that comes to mind is community service for me. One of the big deals that I've seen in this city, it was kind of an aha moment over this past year. I'm on the Galveston Families, Children, and Youth Board, and there I serve as the youth representative for O'Connell College Preparatory School. Ball High also has representatives. And one of the big deals I saw was that youth did not necessarily have a place to display all the projects, because so many great things are happening that youth are doing every single day. You know, they're not just sitting idly back waiting for things to happen to them. They're out there, they're trying to do something to better their community. And so what I really wanted to do was create an event that was based around that. And so we're actually going to be having a small presentation at the NAACP gathering this April 17th. Different students from Ball High and O'Connell are going to have some projects on a PowerPoint presentation, and then we are hoping that on down the road, toward the end of the school year, especially Ball High's time, O'Connell graduates first, but then we are able to share that with the community.
Other than your parents, who's been most influential in your life? What effect has this person had on you?
My grandfather. He was the one that first, took me and showed me, the stars and shared the History Channel with me. And those are two of my biggest passions. As an aspiring engineer, that is something that you need. You need to have passion to keep you going through the long hours of math and science that you're going to have to be doing. And so the fact that he took the time and, since I was little, he was there for me and really just helped guide me to where I am today.
Describe yourself to a stranger. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and your unique characteristics?
Okay. One of my strengths would be my loyalty and dependability. I try to be there for people. I try to always think about how I am perceived through others and how those same actions I would perceive others being toward me. And so that's something that I really try to incorporate into my daily life and my overall persona to new people. I try to meet them and really stay loyal and dependable to them. One of my weaknesses would have to be stress management. It's been a long road. I've definitely improved in that area over the past few years with different activities that I've had to do. The NASA High School Aerospace Scholars Program, which was an outside activity outside of school. And it was like adding 3 more classes to my daily routine. And, there were just so many, there was a reading assignment, tests, papers, research projects that you had to do for this class. And that was something where it forced me to have to take a look at that weakness and go, I need to figure out a way to turn this and make this work for my life and how I live. One of my unique characteristics, I fly. I love flying. It's been a passion of mine since I was like 9. I've begged my parents, please, can I have flight lessons? So on my 13th birthday, they're like, okay, this year we're going to see how it goes, see if you really take to it. I took to it. And my instructor, on my 16th birthday, I got to solo with my instructor out of the plane. And so it's been an incredible journey through that.
Over the past 4 years, you've taken many courses in school. Describe a course that should have been part of the high school curriculum but was not.
One of the courses that wasn't. One of the biggest things to me that I have not had the opportunity would probably be an astronomy class. Astronomy or something like the High School Aerospace Scholars Program that I was able to take part in just because that's been my dream. Since I was little, I dreamed of working for NASA, so obviously you start thinking of what's outside of the Earth's atmosphere. And that is something that I wish I could have gotten the chance to really take. There is actually, I could have potentially taken one, but another class interfered with the scheduling, and so I was not able to take that, unfortunately.
Galveston youth leaders are students who have proven leadership records.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an example of your leadership.
My leadership. I know I talked about the For Youth by Youth through the Galveston Families, Children, and Youth Board that I'm trying to start up. But another great example would have to be recently our student council got involved with this family, the Doiron family. Adam Doiron was in a accident back in September, and he was burned over 92% of his body, and his family's been there since September. Just, being with him, they've taken time off their jobs, and just, they've gone through a lot. And so I felt like that was a vital thing that we needed to step up. So our student council, with me as student body president, really, we took initiative into being the people there that could help offset costs. So we had fundraisers. We tried to raise money to get them, basic food because, after you've been in a hospital for so long, you can only take so much cafeteria food. So it was important to me that we really take initiative with all of that. And, sometimes as a leader, you have to make decisions that aren't popular. And so some of the scheduling interfered with some of the other people. And I knew that we needed to be delivering those goods. And, only a few people showed up, but, that's what you got to do. And anyone who's been to UTMB knows that sometimes parking is kind of far and in between. So I took me and a few other people. We took giant things of food and water and some extra money to this family up in Blocker Burn Unit. And we were just carting it across UTMB, but that is something that a leader has to be able to do, to step up when, the cards are down on the table. It's got to happen. And I've tried to be that person that makes something happen. Even when, the odds are stacked against you, you need to be able to overcome.
What advice would you give incoming high school freshmen?
Incoming high school freshmen. I actually, at the lunch table, sit with a few freshmen and different grade levels. So some of them have come to me and talked to me about, hey, what do you think about this? Hey, this problem's going on. And so, being 3 years down the line from them, I can kind of see it in a different light going, man, if I was a freshman and dealing with that situation again, it sounds cliche. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't try to think that, what this one person thinks of you is the end-all be-all answer. Be yourself. Be you. Be genuine to what you believe is fun, what you believe is correct, and what you want to do throughout high school. No one else can tell you that. For instance, a lot of coming out of middle school, I was one of the only ones to go. We kind of parted ways for high school. And so I didn't let that stop me. I went forward and I found a nice niche. I'm involved in drama, athletic training, a bunch of different varieties of activities where I am. I'm happy where I am. And they're happy where they are. And we've maintained that interaction. That hasn't been a divisive thing for us. In fact, I was seeing some of them today while I've been here for this interview. And so we were catching up, and it's, we're still friends through all that. So that's one of the biggest deals, is to be able to cope with coming in and other people having their opinions, respecting that opinion, but knowing that ultimately you are the deciding vote for your life, and continuing on from there.
Social media such as Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter has become a powerful part of everyday life, changing the way we communicate with each other. Mm-hmm. What are the positives and negatives of this form of communication?
I think one of the positives would be the fact that just a wealth of information is given to you. You're able to stay in contact with people that you have almost forgotten that are out of your life. Older people, as they have joined Facebook, have gone, oh yeah, that person from high school, that's happened to my parents. They're like, wow, I forgot I went to high school with that person. We used to be best friends. And just showing how life can change, but that kind of brings you back together. Then one of the negatives would have to be, it's gotten in the way of a face-to-face interaction. You're not having that, good, nice talk and everything with a person in front of you. You're doing it through a computer. And I feel like that's just a little less personal. So, for instance, that's why I like face-to-face meetings or phone calls better than just texting or sending a Facebook message, tweet, anything on Instagram. I try to go out of my way and do something that's more personal because, A, I get to learn more things about that person. Not many people, as they text, they just go, okay, that's all you learn about them. You learn nothing. In a real social interaction, I believe you learn a lot more about that person, and it helps to build, that bridge and better connections interpersonally.
What are your plans for college and career?
Okay. So as I'm going down this entire road right now, I've actually, I'm soon selecting between 3 schools, and it's a tough choice right now. It's something that I'm having to wrestle with and decide, you know, kind of what is your future going to be. It's a weird question to pose to, I'm not even 18 yet, so I'm not even legally an adult, and I'm having to decide my future, which is in ways scary, but it is something that I'm having to do. And so I'm wanting to go to college with just starting anew, going in there, graduating with a bachelor's, hopefully going on for a master's degree in mechanical engineering or aeronautical engineering. And then recently I've actually been offered a chance for an internship at NASA. I've applied there and I'm waiting on the approval from that. And that could potentially lead to roads down the way. As I've said before, NASA's been the ultimate dream since I've been that little kid looking up at the stars with my grandpa. And, you know, just the fact that I've set myself up throughout high school, you know, taking on the extra rigors, and to the point where I can potentially make that dream come true. That's been the lifelong goal, and I don't want it to change for now. And so NASA in the future and whatever else comes down the pipe.